we are from Group 5. Today we are going to present about the US and China trade war. And these are our group members, Ong Iris, Yap Jun Kit, and Derek. Now I will talk about the overview the key issue. So the first issue is technology and intellectual property. So US has accused China of technology theft and unfair practice. The US government has blacklisted companies like Huawei to prevent them from buying critical US technology. So this had made Huawei smartphone market share drop. The second will be tariff and market access. So the US has accused China of unfair trade practice leading to a massive trade defeat. US imposed traffic on Chinese goods, and China also retail with tariffs on US goods like or especially on the agriculture sector like soybean and corn. This has caused the consumer goods increase significantly in both countries. The third issue will be supply chain security and decoupling. Both countries are seeking to reduce dependency on each other for products and supplies such as rare earths, electronic and pharmaceuticals. For example, the China used their own medicine during the COVID-19 and without relying on any country. However, US still relying more on China for pharmaceutical sectors as shown as in the graph, like they are still continue rising for the import from China. Next. Now I will pass to the next presenter.
So I'm Jungit and I'll talk about the impacts on Malaysia from the trade war. So let's start from the positive impact. So the first positive impact is the trade diversion. So trade diversion actually benefit for Malaysia in the short run. So the trade volume increased by 9.2% to 2.9 trillion ringgit for Malaysia with an record export of $40.8 billion to the US. And the second positive impact is that it can create financial benefits for Malaysia from the trade war. So as the increase of trade volume, it actually help create direct financial benefits for the logistics sectors and companies in Malaysia. So for example, a port plant, which compromise West Port and also North Port. So actually achieve high shipping volumes, they help them to elevate its rank to the 10 most busiest port in the world. So as you can see here, according to our port plant performance in 2024, it actually have about 3 million containers, 3 million containers they have handled it. Then the third positive impact is increase of FDI. So as they benefited from multinationals adopting to a China Plus One strategy to risk diversification. As you can see here, the investment has increased by 83.9% in 2021 from 2020. The FDI actually have increased from 39.1% to 68.1%. Therefore, they show that the trade war have helped them to increase FDI in Malaysia. That's right. And now I'm going to talk about the negative impact. So the first negative impact is the supply chain disruption. As more aggressive US tariffs and on China, they can disrupt the flow of global supply chain. Therefore, some Malaysian company will face a high input cost, will impact their price and also their profit margins. So for example, Penang also actually affected by this global supply chain. As most of their E&E industry, they really heavily relies on the global supply chain, and their products are mostly used by China raw material to produce their product. Then the second negative impact is that there will be potential declining export in the long run. So the Malaysian export are estimated to decline at approximately 0.08% according to the Ministry of Finance, which will impact the Malaysian GDP estimated by 0.02%. Therefore, there will be a potential declining exports from Malaysia in the long run. Then I'll pass it to the next presenter.
policy implemented by Malaysia. The policy is to reduce over-reliance on China and the US by strengthening ties with other markets. Action that is to increase trade with Asia, India, and the Middle East. Then sign the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership to boost regional trade. RCEP is a trade deal between 15 Asian and Oceanian economy. GDP-wise, is the biggest free trade pact. RCEP intend to streamline and integrate regional free trade agreement to enhance trade, investment, and economic cooperation. And also expanded export to Europe and new market in Africa. Then for the impact is expanded market access and less exposure to trade shocks between the US and China. And export to Asia grew, balancing loose from China US trade slump. Next slide. And the next policy is strengthen local manufacturing to reduce import dependency. The action this is the Industry 4WRD initiative use automation, IoT, and AI to modernize manufacturing and boost productivity and competitiveness. Additionally, the government promoted import substitution, encouraging local production of goods affected by US-China tariffs, and such as machinery parts and chemical to reduce reliance on foreign suppliers. And also SME were prioritized with loans and subsidized to react to global supply chain disruption. And for the impact, it can increase resilience in key sectors like medical devices, aerospace, automotive. We can see that the rubber goods exports to Malaysia in 2020 is increased, and the national car market thus accounted for 58% of the local market share in 2022. And the last policy is position Malaysia as an alternative manufacturing hub for companies leaving China. The action is China. The government effectively pursued its China Plus One strategy to requiring electronic and semiconductor multinational. Example like Intel, Tesla, and both expanded operation in Malaysia. Malaysia National Investment Aspiration Program offer competitive tax benefit and streamline high-tech investment approval process to encourage investment. And Malaysia received record FDI in 2022 to 2023, particularly in the E&E industry, thanks to this initiative. And Malaysia became the world's biggest semiconductor exporter, accounting for 12% of chip commerce, confirming its importance in the technological supply chain. And this shows that Malaysia is the top of exporting semiconductor to the US. And after the implementation of this policy, Malaysia has achieved the following. Malaysia trade surplus remains strong despite global tension, and become a top destination for FDI in Asia after Vietnam, and also the tech sector, especially semiconductor trade. I'll pass to the next slide.
Thank you. Now, my part is talking about the suggestion for Malaysia future policies. The first policies is the specifies trade partners. For as we know, where Malaysia is heavily depends on China's and US trade, and when trade war happens, it will affect their trade partners, and by first the policies that Malaysia can use is they can reduce their dependencies on China and US trade by diversifying their trade partners. The first one is Malaysia can reduce their dependencies on single nation. Besides that, they also can expanding their trade with other regions such as European Unions, ASEAN, and India or Africa. Next, the second policy is Malaysia should boost their domestic consumption. As we know, Malaysia domestic consumption is very low because there are important a lot of goods or services from US and China, and that's why Malaysia should create the policies that can stimulate domestic demand. The first one is Malaysia can create the policies that support the small, medium business, that is SMEs, and boost their disposable income and increase the Malaysian consumers' confidence. The second one is Malaysia also can encouraging SME to become more globally competitive, and including supporting their digital transformations and expanding their access to international markets that can help the mitigate risk from the external threat source. The third one is Malaysia can enhance their financial and monetary policies. When trade wars happens or the tariff war that happens right now between China and US, as we know, the currencies is US and China's currency is not stable, and it also affects our Malaysia currencies. That's why Malaysia should have a robust monetary policy, since global trade dispute cause currency swings. Also, flexible currency rates and adequate foreign reserve exist handle external shocks. That's all from me, and thank you
everyone.